having that realization, you feel me? And that should happen from within, you feel me? It's nothing nobody can do or say that make you do something that you don't want to do, you know? Whatever you gonna do, you gonna do it anyway, you feel me? Whether a motherfucker tell you or not.
Drama and chaos.
Gang.
YouTube, welcome back to a new video, man. Today, I'm not sure where we at, but we got her best friend murdered, her and her kid. So we gonna hop right into it. Before we get into it, this is for entertainment purposes only. We don't promote or condone any of this behavior, but we gonna hop right into it.
What happens when your best friend becomes your worst nightmare? This case will leave you questioning everything. In 2006, Tiffany Hall rushed into a hospital carrying a lifeless newborn, claiming a tragic premature birth. But when doctors wanted to examine her, she refused, raising suspicions. At the same time, the community was gripped by fear as a pregnant woman named Jamela Tunstall and her 3 young children went missing. As investigators dug deeper, they uncovered disturbing truths that no one could have imagined. By the end of this video, you'll be left wondering, what truly drives someone to commit such unthinkable acts? For starters, Tiffany wasn't exactly a newcomer in Jamela Tunstall's life. They had known each other since they were little, calling each other sisters even though they weren't related by blood. Additionally, both girls grew up in the same neighborhood in East.
You should have known St. Louis, they breed some crazy ass motherfuckers, I ain't gonna lie. St. Louis is a cool city, but it's some crazy motherfuckers down there.
St. Louis, Illinois, and had a lot in common. Most people who knew them described them as quiet and a bit introverted, often hanging out together and finding comfort in each other's company amidst the ups and downs of their challenging lives. And boy, did they have challenging lives. Jamela faced a really tough childhood, moving from one foster home to another while trying her best to stay in school. It wasn't easy for her at all.
Look at her goddamn lips, man. I know my lips look this color, but my shit getting back healthy. I don't smoke no more. Her last smoke 16 Newports a day, you feel me? A second, you feel me? 3 packs a day. Her ass a smoker. Her shit bogus as hell. And I think she the one that did the killing too.
But through the difficulties, she found a sense of belonging with Tiffany. They became close friends, and Tiffany understood Jamela in a way that others didn't. Meanwhile, Tiffany had her own battles to fight. By the time she turned 14, she was already making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
Her shit got better a little bit.
She had gotten into trouble with the law and earned the label of a juvenile delinquent for kicking her mother. Her home life was just as chaotic, filled with strict curfews and rules she constantly broke. It seemed like she was always butting heads with her family. In fact, Tiffany's mother, Beverly Cruz, once told the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that Tiffany was quite the handful. She even recounted a wild story about how Tiffany had set their kitchen on fire when she was a teenager. Yet despite everything, both Tiffany and Jamela stuck together, creating a friendship that felt unbreakable. And just like how they found solace in each other, they also shared the experience of becoming mothers.
Now you could tell she probably was just hating or something. Look at it, she bogus as hell, you know? She was probably just hating on that something. Ain't no telling, you know? A lot of friends get possessive over their other friends, you know? You always got to defreeze your gardener, you feel me? So you never know.
Each other, they also shared the experience of becoming mothers. At 16, Jamela welcomed her first child, a son named Demond, in 1999, and then had 2 more kids, Ivan in 2003 and Janella in 2004. Although she struggled at times, like when she lost custody of her kids for disciplining her eldest son with a belt, she fought hard to reclaim her family. After taking parenting classes, she got her children back, determined to turn her life around.
That's what's up. I ain't
She
gonna lie.
even
That's
bought
good.
a car with her tax refund and enrolled in community college, aspiring to become a photographer one day. On the other hand, Tiffany's journey was equally tumultuous when it comes to parenting. Just like Jamela, she became a mother at just 16, welcoming her first child into the world, followed by a second baby shortly after. But her life took a dark turn in 1999 when she lost custody of her daughters. Authorities discovered alarming evidence of severe abuse against her 2-month-old baby, painting a heartbreaking picture of neglect. Witnesses recalled seeing the infant in Tiffany's arms.
Look at that goddamn cap, man. This ain't even no wig. It's just like a cap or something. Like that shit don't blend at all. Like I thought it was supposed to blend a little bit. You feel me? Look like a cat licked on her shit. All type of shit. She bogus as hell. Like she got what's them at the 7-Eleven. Nah, I'm tweaking. The y'all know the Indians. Bro, how they be having the look. You feel me? She got one of those on with the little tail at the back. She bogus as hell.
Limp like a rag doll, which raised immediate concerns. The injuries sustained that day would leave lasting consequences, and by the time the little girl turned 7, she still relied on diapers and struggled to communicate, often speaking in sounds that were difficult to understand. But in 2002, both of Tiffany's daughters were returned to her care.
That's good.
This happened after the state attorney decided not to pursue charges of abuse against her.
That ain't good.
The Children and Family Services concluded that Tiffany was no longer a threat, which meant she could finally reclaim her role as a mother.
That's good.
It was a big relief for her, a chance to start fresh with her kids. However, life had other plans for Tiffany. That same year, she found herself in legal trouble once again. At just 23, she was charged with possession of a stolen credit card. Meanwhile, Jamela was living a completely different life at this point. While Tiffany's world
That's what I'm saying. Like, I know it get difficult sometimes. Like, I grew up in a difficult situation, you feel me? I ain't gonna really go into detail about my situation, but it definitely get difficult at times, you know? I'm just glad I was blessed enough to, before I made any, like, major mistakes, like having kids young or going to jail for a real long time and shit like that, I'm glad I snapped up out of it and really, like, did what I had to do, you feel me? Because a lot of people don't snap up out of it, you feel me? Some people, it happen later than others, but at the same time, some people, it don't happen to them at all. That's why you see a lot of bums out here that's old as hell, still doing the same thing. Like, it's a lot of people that's double my age, done there triple my age, and I'm doing better than, you feel me? Because I realized early, you know? And it's a lot of people, like, it's like some of y'all, like, y'all probably doing 10 times better than people 3 times y'all age because y'all did what y'all supposed to do. But it's people that's our age. I'm 20, I'm finna turn 21 in like 3 weeks, you feel me? So it's a lot of people that's around my age that's doing really well for themselves, and there's a lot of people around my age that ain't doing good at all. So it's really about having that realization, you feel me? And that should happen from within, you feel me? It's nothing nobody can do or say that make you do something that you don't want to do, you know? Whatever you gonna do, you gonna do it anyway, you feel me? Whether a motherfucker tell you or not.
Trauma and chaos, Jamela had found a quieter routine that worked for her and her family.
And that's probably where it stemmed from, you feel me? She probably got her life together, you know? She got her kids back, got her life together, and she doing a little well for herself. And, you know, the deep freezer had to come hating, you feel me? She acting overly possessive, you feel me? And she probably going through shit that she don't talk about, and she just released it on the person. I don't know the person. You know, I don't understand why people do that, but that's probably the root.
Focusing on protecting her children from the tough realities of their housing project. Life wasn't easy, but Jamela was determined to create a safe space for her kids. She was a cautious mom, rarely letting her children play outside unsupervised. Whenever they did venture out, you could find Jamela sitting on a milk crate just by her door, her watchful eyes following their every move. Her kids found joy in a little green tractor, a simple toy that they shared with the neighborhood kids. It was a small but significant source of happiness in their tough surroundings. Additionally, Jamela would walk her children to the school bus stop every morning, ensuring they started their day safely. By 2006, Jamela was 7 months pregnant, eagerly awaiting the arrival of a baby girl. She dreamed of a brighter future for herself and her growing family, filled with hope and possibilities. While Jamela was focused on her family's well-being and looking forward to new beginnings, Tiffany was still grappling with her own struggles.
Told y'all, that's where it come from, you know? She going through it, you feel me? And mental health. that shit take a toll on the motherfucker that's going through it, you feel me? Money don't buy happiness, but it buy freedom, you know? And when you lack that freedom shit, that your mental health gets deteriorating, you feel me? Because you stuck, you feel stuck, you know? And that's probably what she going through. It looked like she going
Life
through
seemed
something.
to throw challenge after challenge at her, but despite everything, their friendship remained strong. In fact, Tiffany often took the time to babysit Jamella's kids, even though she had her own parenting troubles to manage. It all seemed okay for them. But everything changed on the evening of September 16th, 2006. Tiffany made a startling call to the police, claiming she had just given birth to a stillborn child at Frank Holton Park. When she arrived at the hospital, the situation took a bizarre turn. Tiffany refused to let doctors examine her, raising immediate concerns about her story. Investigators began to question her, and as they pressed for details, her accounts became increasingly confusing. She alternated between saying she had been sexually assaulted.
She ain't let nobody check because it wasn't her baby, you feel me? She ain't let nobody check her because it wasn't her baby. It was other shorty baby. And I don't know what she did to, I don't know, but
that wasn't the case at all.
But obviously
no one
she killed
knew
her,
Tiffany
but
was pregnant, except for her Navy boyfriend. An autopsy was performed on the baby girl, but it revealed no signs of trauma and failed to determine a clear cause of death.
Right.
After that unsettling night, Tiffany left the hospital, and the lifeless infant was taken to the morgue. What's even more bizarre is that Tiffany went ahead and organized a funeral for the baby she named Tiffany Horn. Just days after her dramatic claims, on September 21st, she held the service, but the event was anything but ordinary. The funeral director couldn't help but notice Tiffany's strange behavior. Just minutes before the ceremony was set to begin, she unexpectedly asked if they could move the funeral to another day so that more family members could attend. This raised eyebrows, especially since only 2 family members showed up, which seemed odd given the circumstances. To make things weirder, Tiffany showed up 2 hours late. That's not something you expect at a funeral, where people usually arrive on time to pay their respects. Among the few who did come was her boyfriend, Keith Horn. He had come back from the Navy just for this service because he believed the baby being buried was his daughter. Meanwhile, everyone was starting to get really worried about Jamela. No one seemed to know where she was, and her friends and family were feeling more anxious by the minute. They tried calling her, sending messages.
Like, just a little late, but that's something I always, like, even to this day, grateful for, you know, like, because when you a baby, you so vulnerable, you know, you can pick up something on the floor and choke on and die. You can get dropped the wrong way and die. You could just get sick and die like you a baby, so you so vulnerable, you know, so I really just be glad that I made it through old enough so I can start thinking for myself and actually think for myself, you feel me? Cause like when you a baby, you really don't remember nothing, and then it's like it's all up to your caregiver, whoever caring for you, your mama, your daddy. That's the people that's like make sure you say. I know it sounds so like normal, but that's just shit that I think about. Like I'm glad that I made it to a point where I'm not as vulnerable and I can actually think for myself. Cause there's a lot of babies out here that be down, they ain't even get a chance to live. You know, that should be crazy. And I think that same way about like people, like it's a lot of people. It's like a lot of people I knew that end up down before they even realized what life really about. And it's like only if they would have knew, they would have put themselves in different situations to avoid like what happened to them.
Media, but nothing came through. It was like she had just vanished into thin air. By the way, I post true crime and new cases here every day, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, please consider subscribing. It helps a lot. It wasn't until after the funeral, when Tiffany had a conversation with Keith, that would change everything. Tiffany casually mentioned that she had cut the baby out of her best friend, Jamela. Those words hit Keith like a ton of bricks.
I was so wondering, like, what happened, you feel me? But she cut the baby out the stomach, like, she bogus as hell. They at least should get her, like, 80, 90, Just make sure she don't get out of jail, really.
His mind raced as he tried to process what she was saying. How could she claim something so horrific? Was it even possible? At that point, Keith felt a rush of panic. He knew he couldn't just sit around doing nothing. He had to protect Jamela and figure out the truth behind Tiffany's shocking confession. Without wasting any time, he grabbed his phone and dialed the police. The police wasted no time in finding Jamela's body, which had been missing for 6 long days. When they discovered her in high weeds near Tiffany's home, it sent shockwaves through the community. To make the situation even more chilling, they found a pair of scissors lying near her remains. This led to Tiffany's arrest that same night. While in custody, she began to share the horrifying details of what had happened almost a week ago, the day she delivered her baby girl. Earlier that day, Jamela, who was 7 months pregnant, had been casually hanging out with Tiffany at her mother's home in Belleville. But things took a dark turn when Tiffany struck Jamela over the head with a table leg, hitting her repeatedly until Jamela became unconscious. Once Jamela was down, Tiffany took the situation to an unimaginable level. She bound Jamela's hands and feet with duct tape, ensuring she couldn't escape. At one point, Jamela regained consciousness and desperately tried to wriggle free from her restraints. But Tiffany, now completely unhinged, struck her again and taped her mouth shut to silence her cries for help. Then Tiffany dragged Jamela's lifeless body into the bathroom. In a chilling moment, Tiffany cut open Jamela's stomach with scissors in a desperate attempt to take the baby from her womb. Tragically, Jamela was still alive during this horrific act, but she lost an enormous amount of blood and eventually succumbed to her injuries. After committing such a monstrous crime, Tiffany tried to cover her tracks. She wrapped Jamela's body in a shower curtain and transported it to a weedy, vacant lot behind her house, where she dumped it like garbage. What's even more...
That's what it'd be. It'd be like hate. It's envy, you know? Like, she was just hating for some odd reason, you feel me? You never know what really go on, what really went on, but... Yeah, I think she was hating, you feel me? She had to be, you know? So why would you do that, you feel me? Or they must have gotten like an argument or something, but still... If that's your friend for that long, an argument not gonna drive you to that extent, you feel me? You have to already hating, or you just like something wrong with you. Like something really gotta be wrong with you, you feel me? And I'm leaning more towards that way, something wrong with it. But you will never know, you feel me?
Unsettling is that Tiffany had been planning this for weeks. Just a week before Jamela's murder, she had purchased items for a makeshift birth kit, scissors, alcohol, and a bulb syringe. To make things even more twisted, she had been pretending to be pregnant, hoping to lure her boyfriend Keith home from the Navy under false pretenses. When the news hit that Jamela had died and Tiffany had been arrested, it horrified both their families. Both mothers were left reeling, struggling to comprehend the tragic turn of events. Just when everyone thought things couldn't get worse, another dark cloud loomed over the community. Jamela's 3 children were missing, and nobody knew where they were.
I forgot that the family got killed too.
Friday, September 22nd, the police sprang into action. They headed straight to Jamela's apartment, hoping to find photos of the missing kids to share with the media, hoping someone would recognize them and help bring them back. Jamela's partner, Ivan Collins, had already been questioned, and the police needed more information from him. While the police were piecing together the timeline, they learned that Tiffany's daughters were safe, but Jamela's kids were still unaccounted for. The officers reached out to Ivan again, hoping he could shed light on the situation. He mentioned that he'd last seen the children 3 days earlier, on the 18th, but when he was asked about their whereabouts since then, he said they had been with him before leaving with Tiffany that same night.
Oh, wow.
This raised even more eyebrows.
Yeah, and this little boy looked just like his mom.
As the investigation continued, Tiffany was still in custody, and it wasn't long before she spilled the beans about where the kids were. This confession led the police back to Jamela's apartment the next morning, but what they found was nothing short of horrifying. As they stepped inside, a dreadful smell hit them, a sickening stench that made it clear something was terribly wrong. It was then that they discovered the heartbreaking truth: the naked and decomposing bodies of Jamela's 3 children.
Man, you gotta be like a fucked up different type of person that even hurt a kid in any way, like danger a kid in any way. Like I ain't gonna lie, like yeah, she bogus here. I'm just waiting to see. I'm waiting to see how much time they give her. That's the real important question, huh? She bogus here.
Washing machine, and the third was found in the dryer. They had been left there for 5 long days, and the police had unknowingly walked right past that horrifying scene just the day before.
Right.
It was a chilling realization that no one could have prepared for, deepening the tragedy of the whole situation. Tiffany's confession to the children's murders. Now let's take a closer look at Tiffany's side of the story.
Let's see how you can't justify no shit like this. You can't justify nothing like that. So I want to see what she got to say. You feel me? Just so we can throw her in the dumpster. You feel? You can't. It's nothing you can say to really.
3 days before the funeral, and shortly after she had committed the unthinkable act against Jamela and her unborn baby, Tiffany had more plans in store. Tiffany spun a big lie to Ivan, claiming that Jamela wanted her kids and her car. This sneaky story let Tiffany pick up 7-year-old Demond, 2-year-old Ivan, and 10-month-old Janella. Once she had them, Tiffany casually told the kids it was time for a bath. But instead of a fun splash, one by one, she drowned them in the same bathtub where she had killed their mother. Some reports even said...
So she got the kids after she killed the mama. Yeah, kill her. I ain't gonna lie. I don't even know why they even... She better not still be living. I ain't gonna lie. Kill her. What is she still doing? She got the kids after she killed their mama. And I don't know, like... And then, it was hate. It was envy. It had to be. On top of something wrong with her, but it was a mixture of all this, because I don't get it.
With cough syrup before
like,
putting
what
them
the
in the
kids
tub,
do, you feel?
making it even easier for her to carry out her horrific plan. After the terrible act, Tiffany stuffed their tiny bodies into the washer and dryer of Jamela's apartment in the John DeShields housing complex. By this point, she had not only taken her best friend's life and that of Jamela's unborn baby, but also confessed to the murders of her 3 children. All the kids were naked, except for a pair of underpants on one of the children. Surprisingly, Tiffany never gave any reason for why she killed Jamela's kids, leaving everyone puzzled. Why would someone take the life of their best friend? What could drive a woman to harm 3 innocent kids? Did Tiffany really have a miscarriage, or was she ever even pregnant? Did she struggle with mental health issues? The questions seemed never-ending. Jamela's funeral took place on September 29, 2006, and it was a massive gathering with over 700 people showing up to pay their respects. Friends and family shared stories about Jamela's bright, childlike smile, the way her face lit up when she talked about her kids, and how she often got bored easily. People remembered her children's unique personalities too, bringing warmth to an otherwise tragic day. The community really came together, raising more than $30,000 in just 3 days to help cover the funeral costs for Jamela and her children. Initially, Tiffany was only charged with the murder of Jamela and her unborn daughter, but as the investigation unfolded, 3 more murder charges were added for the children. At first, Tiffany pleaded not guilty, leading to a psychiatric evaluation. She started with a public defender, but when the state announced it would pursue the death penalty, she was given a new lawyer experienced in such serious...
That's what that was like what I was thinking. That was more like mine. That's what I wanted, the death penalty, Like, I feel like if you do something to kids, that should be on the table always, you feel me? Even if, like, any type of abuse to kids, like, every type of abuse there is to kids, I feel like that should be on the table, you feel? And then multiple kids, then they mama,
James Gomrick,
no question,
one of Tiffany Hall's lawyers, mentioned that while Tiffany was deemed mentally fit to stand trial, she also had some serious mental health issues going on and scored in the mid-70s on the IQ scale.
Oh yeah, she was dumb as hell
What
too.
sets Tiffany apart from other women who have committed similar crimes is that she already had kids of her own. Her daughters were just 7 and 8 years old at the time of the murders. On June 10, 2008, Tiffany was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the horrific crime of murdering 5 people, including Jamela and her children.
However, that ain't enough. However what?
September 2008, Tiffany tried to backtrack on her guilty plea, claiming her lawyer didn't do a good job defending her. Fortunately, the court shot down her request. In 2012, she filed another petition asking for a new lawyer, arguing that her trial attorneys weren't up to par. That one didn't get anywhere either, but Tiffany didn't give up. She felt strongly that her lawyers didn't properly investigate her mental health or whether she was fit to stand trial. In her petition, Tiffany claimed that Gomrich didn't even get the paperwork for her psychiatric evaluation until 2 days after she had already entered her guilty plea. The report from a second psychiatrist, who was supposed to figure out if she was sane at the time of the crime, was stamped as received on June 11, 2008, while Tiffany had made her plea on June 9th. A different report from an earlier evaluation said she was fit to stand trial, but didn't assess her sanity when the crime happened. That second report revealed that Tiffany had a long history of mental health issues that started in her childhood and included multiple hospitalizations.
That's one thing I don't understand. Like, everybody got some type of mental health issues, you feel me? Everybody go through shit. Everybody, you feel me? Like, some people do got more than other people. I say that, but at the same time, like, I don't think that should even be used in a court of law when a person did something this horrendous, you feel me? Somebody did something this bad, and y'all talking about mental health, like, and then you got enough sense now to argue that you have mental health issues, you feel me? If you got mental health, if you got mental health issues, you got mental health issues, not just when you do something crazy, you feel me? Now that you trying to get out of jail, now you are sane and are requesting new lawyers, and that sound pretty sane to me. You feel me? I ain't trying to hear that shit, man. Everybody go through shit. Everybody, come. Not everybody, but a lot of people come from difficult things that prevailed in life that didn't do nothing like this. Even if they didn't prevail, they didn't do nothing like this. You feel me? So the whole mental health aspect of things, and anybody should be shot down right away when you kill somebody or when you kill innocent people. Like, and you ain't mental, your ass, you need to go to jail. That's what you need to do.
Back up her appeal. Records from evaluations done after her plea showed diagnoses of several serious conditions: psychotic disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, mood disorder, bipolar disorder, and mild mental retardation.
Yeah, the last part was pretty accurate, you feel me? And it ain't mild either, it's severe retardation, you feel me? Gotta be. Ain't nothing mild about that.
The court decided to reverse Tiffany's denial of post-conviction relief, which meant she could keep fighting her case. Tiffany's petition went through several revisions, with new attorneys working on it throughout 2015 and 16. They were granted a bunch of extensions to get it right. She even asked for a new attorney again, but that request was denied too. Eventually, the court dismissed her petition because it didn't meet the necessary requirements. But Tiffany wasn't done yet. She appealed this decision, claiming her...
All these appeals and all these, that's not nothing nobody in a mental health state will be doing, you feel me? Like, you just claiming that to get out of something, obviously, But I would have shot all this shit down and said, enough is enough. You're going to jail for the rest of your life, you feel? You're not going home.
Didn't do enough to amend the petition properly. In 2020, Tiffany finally got a break and won her appeal, giving her another shot at filing a petition for relief. It looks like Tiffany's case might be stuck in the appeals process for quite a while, but at least Jamela's family can find some comfort in knowing she's behind bars. Now, at 42 years old, Tiffany is being held at Logan Correctional Center in Lincoln, Illinois. One source noted that Jamela's stillborn baby girl was exhumed and reburied alongside Jamela and her 3 other children in Millstadt, Illinois. With all that said, Tiffany's case stands as one of the most disturbing crimes ever committed by a woman. It's a chilling reminder that
not by just no woman, by anybody, you feel me? That's like disturbing. Like, that ain't even cool, you feel me? then you keep, like, I don't get it, you feel me?
How well
Like,
we think
it's just
we know
something
someone,
we can't
we can
comprehend.
never truly understand what they're capable of. Now we ask you again, is life in prison enough for what she did? Let us know in the comments.
Nah, life in prison, no, it ain't even half, you know. They should have put her on death row and dealt with it that way, you feel me? Even though Illinois ain't got no death row law, the feds should have came in and put her on death row, cause that's ridiculous, man. Like, anybody that capable of doing something like that don't deserve all these second chances and stuff like that, you feel me? Figure out if she did it or not. If she did it, that should be the end of everything, you feel me? I don't get it, you know. But y'all like, comment, subscribe, fuck with everything in the description. We gone. Gang.
Gang.